Have you guys ever heard of Ling Chi? You guys ever heard of Ling Chi? It's a form of torture and execution that comes from China, and it translates roughly. Okay, Ling Chi was reserved for crimes viewed as especially severe, such as treason. Some Westerners in China were executed in this manner, even after the practice was outlawed. The process involved tying the condemned prisoner to a wooded frame, usually in a public place, and the flesh was cut from the body in multiple slices in a process that was not specified in detail by Chinese law. Therefore, and this is from a description page, most likely varied. The punishment worked on 3 levels: a form of public humiliation, slow and lingering death, as well as punishment after death. It's known in American terms as death by 1,000 cuts. Antonio Brown was cut today. It's Ling Chi. Ling Chi. Slow public process, which, frankly, he was guilty of treason in both Pittsburgh and in Oakland. Potentially guilty of far worse crimes against his now multiple accusers. Maybe not. But I don't think that Antonio Brown will play in the NFL again. And I also don't think there's one incident which is going to cause him to not play in the NFL again. I think it's death by 1,000 cuts. Now, could it be that the Patriots found out that there's potentially criminal activity? It could be. I think it's much more likely that Bill Belichick walking out of that press conference, combined with the fact that they told him, hey, enough is enough, and he's sending text messages to people trying to defend himself while sullying the name of people who are his accusers. Keep in mind, when they began their relationship just 11 days ago, he's only been a Patriot for 11 days. New league record. And I feel like this is like, remember when Nuke LaLoosh had his first pitching outing for the Durham Bulls, and he walked 19 and he struck out 19, both new league records? Antonio Brown has been with the Raiders and lost money. Have you ever heard of a guy losing $200,000 to not play for a team, but be part of a team for training camp? I haven't. New league record. Then part of the New England Patriots caught 3 passes on their opening drive and a touchdown and got cut in 11 days while being in the news, all negatively, for all 11 days. Another new league record. I feel like this is Nuke LaLoosh all over again. But when the relationship began, I told you the story of when I started my relationship with CBS. And before the press conference went out, I said, hey, guys, just, we aware, like, how are we going to handle if there's some bizarre, like, Notre Dame question? And my boss at the time was like, what Notre Dame question? It's like, well, it's like 20 years ago. And they're like, oh, we'll get back to you. And then they researched it. They figured it out. We talked about it a little bit, and we were fine. Because there's always going to be some jerk who goes like, well, what about, like, dude, it was 1996. It was a misdemeanor, and it's been expunged. It's over. But you have to at least have full disclosure with your boss. They don't want to walk in and be blindsided by it. Just like the opposite is when Antonio Brown signed with the Patriots. That process was exceptionally fast. Hey, let's get that ink dry. Let's get it done. $9 million? Fine. Sold. Done. We had multiple bidders. $20 million next year if you want to keep him. But they didn't tell him. They didn't tell the Patriots about these civil lawsuits, which were going to become very, very public. That makes people mad. Hey, look, I can defend you. The Patriots can not answer questions that they're blue in the face. But if they don't know it's coming, nobody wants to deal with that. They don't. Then there was another accuser in the Klemko article, and Every pregame press conference becomes about Antonio Brown. He's a hell of a talent. But it's really interesting. He grew up in a part of Florida, same part of Florida that produced Chad Ochocinco. And remember what happened to Chad? He went to the Patriots, couldn't show up on time, couldn't remember the plays, got himself cut, went to Miami, went back home, had a domestic violence charged against him, never played another down in the National Football League. And that is Antonio Brown's idol. That's who he grew up emulating. And that, I believe, is the path that his career has now gone down. I don't think he got cut today because of the pending civil lawsuits. I have no idea their level of validity. I don't think it's any of that. I think it's, you got all this other nonsense. You got a negative reputation on quitting with the Steelers, on the use of social media. You have the foot thing with the cryo chamber. You got the helmet thing. Now you got multiple women saying that you violated them. You got people saying you didn't pay them. And every day's a new story. You didn't tell us about this stuff. And then when I'm guessing the Patriots said, shut it all down. Turn off your phone. Just be a football player. And he said, I got you. Then you send out text messages to people in the media trying to defend yourself. And they're like, look, doesn't mean what you're saying is wrong or lying, but we specifically asked you not to say anything anymore. Ling Chi, death by 1,000 cuts. All right, so the news of the day, if you're just joining us, is Antonio Brown has been released by the New England Patriots. This comes on the back of some text messages that look like a group text that Antonio Brown appears to have sent out to people, which it's like, hey, here's the deal with this second accuser, the truth to her, that she's basically a starving artist. That accuser or whatever from the Sports Illustrated article had a lawyer who said that they were threatening texts. Now, I didn't believe that those were threatening texts. My belief is that it's not about what he said. It's about sending out a group text to kind of try and control the media. Right? When I'm getting look, we have PR people. You have an agent. Let them handle it. Don't answer any questions. What are you doing? What do you think, Ryan? Do you think it's about the context of the text, or do you think it's about just sending out that text?
Yeah, I think it's more about, I guess, both. Going back to what you had said when this first broke almost 15 minutes ago now, was I think it's just a combination of everything. He has done so many things over the past 7 months that I'm sure when the Patriots brought him in, they were like, you have to be a model citizen. I don't think they say model citizen. I don't think that's the way it works. I really don't.
Yeah. I just think they're like, hey, listen, you're either Drew Rosenhaus will answer questions or our PR people will answer questions. Outside of that, don't say nothing to nobody. Like, this is like,
well, that's more or less the same thing. Is they're making it very clear. Maybe they don't use the words model citizen or, but they're making it very clear, like, hey, this is exactly what we expect from you. And any sort of deviation is going to mean you will no longer be on the Patriots.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. This reminds me of Goodfellas. And if Dan Byer watched movies, Dan, have you seen Goodfellas?
No, I haven't.
Ramos, you seen Goodfellas?
I have seen Goodfellas.
Okay. You remember when they had the Lufthansa heist? Right? Do you remember what they told him after the Lufthansa heist? Don't buy nothing. Don't buy nothing. Right? And the guy walks in. His wife's got a fur coat, and they got a new Cadillac. What? Take it back. Take it back. Right? When I say don't do nothing, don't do nothing. And they couldn't handle himself, couldn't control himself. So, Dan, what do you got?
Well, I was going to say, I think that the texts last night were different than the helmet situation in Oakland. They were different than the cryotherapy situation in Oakland. And now all of a sudden you have a legal situation, and we know the Patriots' stance on social media, engaging in other parties, engaging media, whatever the case may be, when it's just about football, let alone a whole other issue. And I do think that those texts were threatening. When you take pictures of someone's kids and put them in a group text, I don't know why somebody would. I don't know how that isn't threatening.
How is that? But I understand how his children were again, I wouldn't have done it. I didn't think it was smart, but I don't necessarily know how that is.
I don't think that he has to make a threat. I would to make the effort to be like, we know who your kids are, and I know he's trying to be like, look, she's got all the money, blah blah blah, but to go to that length, that was stupid. I would take it.
I just don't think he's very smart.
And I think that
death by cell phone, by the way.
I think all the Raider stuff wasn't. I mean, there was no civil suit when he was with the Raiders. We didn't know about that stuff. So now the civil suit pops up, and they think, I'm just guessing, all right, this happens on the Patriots' watch. They're figuring out what happens. And as soon as he engages, instead of letting it all play out, I think the Patriots are like, all right, we're good. I think last night did him in.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. I don't think there's any doubt. But it's also a culmination, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's to Ryan's point of trying to play well, but all of the civil suit, I think, changed things because that was never the issue in Oakland. There was nothing about the law or sexual assault. Then all of a sudden this pops out and you're like trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. And then all of a sudden now he engages. That's where.
Yeah. What are you doing engaging?
Yeah.
I thought it was some pretty good agenting by Drew Rosenhaus to save it and get him to the Patriots. But I think this is another case of bad agenting by Drew Rosenhaus. Like, I understand that Drew, at some point you just can't, your client can't help himself, right? I get that. At some point, hey, as an agent, your client can't control himself. There's nothing you can do. On the other hand, you have to hire somebody to sit with him. This is it. I mean, you can make the argument he's the best wide receiver in the NFL, and he's not going to be in the NFL this year.